Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. This is the third part of our series where we speak about India opening its market to foreign law firms. And what are the implications? What are the responses? We have a panel with a representative from the UK and two of our panelists from the city of New Delhi. May I welcome Advocate Sudhir Mishra. He's managing partner of Trust Legal, a law firm based out of the capital. I have with me senior advocate Sridhar Kottaraju, a well-known advocate, an advocate on record at the Supreme Court of India. He also practices at the Delhi High Court. I have with me Ajit Mishra. He's a head of India and International Maddox Legal. He joins us from the city of London. Welcome all three of you and looking forward to some interesting insights today. May I request Advocate Sudhir Mishra from Trust Legal to open this discussion with a few initial comments before we move ahead for the specific issues. Over to you, Mr. Mishra.
Tarun, many thanks for inviting me. And this is in my understanding, the Bar Council of India notifications are a watershed moment for Indian legal fraternity, Indian legal sector. And the magnitude of this announcement on 10th of March is so huge that it is still sinking in. You are getting reactions from the legal fraternity, lawyers, students, the law teachers. But we should remember that this is a long-drawn process. Manmohan Singh, as a finance minister, was the first who tried to do it in 1991 and open the Indian legal sector. And he realized that it will go through the courts. So it went to the courts. Always that fear lingers on. Like there are a lot of questions which beg answer, that whether it will pass through the legal scrutiny, because there is so many contradictions which are on the face of it. But most importantly, what it has done is it has created a momentum. So all the trade negotiations which are happening with United Kingdom, some other European countries, Australia and Canada, they all have got a great momentum with regard to opening up of this particular critical sector. 75,000 lawyers come out of law schools. And it's a truth that very small percentage of that population gets a job which they like.
Point well taken. I'll now go across to Advocate Sridhar Kottaraju for his opening comment today. Over to you, Mr. Kottaraju.
Good evening, Tarun. Thanks for having me on this show. I'm actually very happy to see this happen at this moment because I recall that while we were still in the Delhi University in '96, the Arbitration Act came in, and we've seen how it has evolved from where it started and then the heights that we've reached, where India is looking to become the international hub for commercial arbitration. Now, this actually is a step in aid for the '96 Act to bring in a continuum in the policy of opening up the economy, both in sense of your businesses as well as the services sector. Here we have the legal services which are now opening up. It brings in a lot of assurance for the international investors who choose to come into India, as much as providing a platform in India for international commercial arbitration. So I think it's a very good and a positive move. And as we play along, I guess there will be issues which will crop up, and I'm sure and confident that the Bar Council would address them as and when they crop up, because they did really look at the outline of the professional ethics which actually regulate very rigidly the Indian lawyers, and the same rigidity are not applicable insofar as advertising, etc. is concerned for the foreign lawyers or the law firms. So there is a definite level playing field which needs to be drawn in. Other than that, I guess it's a good start, and then we can always play along and then evolve with experience.
Point well taken. I'll go across to Ajit Mishra from Maddox Legal. Ajit, I remember discussing this issue with you when you were in Delhi a couple of years ago. Finally, it has happened. What is the view from London? How do you view this decision? What is the scope in future? And a first few comments that you would like to make after you've gone through the announcement.
Well, so first and foremost, it's such a delight to be on your show. It's not only famous in India, but internationally as well. So I have been following it for quite some time. Coming from India, I was born and raised in India. I moved to UK in 2008. to start operations of a Indian law firm. So around that time, I was practicing Indian laws in UK. So from my perspective, when I looked around, and around that time, if you remember, 2006, 2007, all these Ellen Overy, Clifford Chance, they were best friend relations which are happening. India was painting its picture on international market, to my surprise and surprise of many others who were from Indian origin at that point. We never thought that India could be second largest investor in a country like UK, and still its second largest investor. Just investment size has increased. Now, when I was practicing Indian laws and when I was meeting, and we were very well received in British market, when we were meeting all these international law firms, this topic of liberalization of Indian legal market, I think that was center of each and every discussion. Everybody was very positive around 2008 that Indian market is opening up. And then things started getting a bit dried up. That whole thing next year became 2 years' time. 2 years' time became a joke. But India has got its own complexity. And this time when it's happening, we knew it's coming because of the trade negotiation which India is happening with, doing with the British government. We knew it's happening. In what shape or form and when, that was a big question. So recently in March, when I was in India, and along with me, Lubna was there, who's president of Law Society. We all were there and we were positive about it. Things are moving in right direction. It all came to us as a surprise, a positive surprise, a pleasant surprise, I should say, because we knew it's happening, but so quickly and so soon. Backdrop of visit of president of Law Society, that was a bit of surprise for all of us in a good way, very good way. So sentiments over here are very positive. Everybody is excited about Indian market opening up, and they have been excited since 2008. Since I have been in that country, and much before that. So sentiments are there. Sentiments are very positive. Each and every law firm, they're gearing up to understand how they can play this their role in Indian economy. So all in all, sentiments are good. It's just, as we say, we are waiting for more details. Once details are there, you will see. My positive feeling is that we'll see at least 10 to 15 law firms immediately setting up their presence in India. And India is not an easy market. That will be a learning curve for them, and that will be a learning curve for India as well. But having said so, there will be issues. India is such a complex country. Complexities are there in every stream of life. So there will be the few who won't like change immediately, but in long run, it will be good for India. It will be good for UK.
Point well taken. I go across to Sudhir Mishra from Touch Legal. I want to know from you two things. You are one of the few people who welcomed this decision with open arms, allowing foreign law firms in India. But there are many people who are skeptical in a sense. They have certain reservations. What is your message to them in view of the fact that China, even countries like Vietnam, have allowed foreign law firms to open offices in their countries, and they have grown and flourished?
So, Tarun, I believe that for every truth, there is a moment of arrival. And I run a very modest law firm, but the fact is, we know the size of the legal industry. Just today, the number of billionaires in the world, the list has been released, and India is at the second position. Even if you have the fifth largest economy, you have the second highest number of billionaires after USA, more than China, in fact. Now, who is going to serve them? So you have, if I say top 20 law firms in this country, top 10 law firms are quite big in their size, and they will have every reason to feel that they want to be on their own rather than tie up with an international law firm. There are 4 or 5 law firms which are already into the best friend relationship or a courtship or whatever you call it. They are already there and they are deriving the benefits of it. And Tarun, the most important factor is post-pandemic, with online being the main base, how much regulations and regulatory bodies are going to play a role? You can work from anywhere, any part of the world, and it is already happening so much than 2018 and 19. Like if you go to London and you being a door tenant, I'm always there, and when I meet those law firms, I am looking at them doing more transactions just on online. So I don't think that is the problem. The second thing is how the groundswell thing is changing. Today or yesterday, a particular High Court judge said to a lawyer that you lawyers don't take care of your litigant properly. Now the foreign law firms are coming and you will have to learn all these things from them. So it is going so fast. It's like a forest fire. It is going to...
Can I ask you a follow-up question? Do you mean that there is an era of different kind of professionalism that Indian practitioners of law will learn when these people bring in global practices? I'll give you an example. I was told by an international arbitrator who's an Indian that even numbering of documents, color coding, everything is so standardized abroad. In India, you use those normal, pages. Everything, I mean, those kind of standards will come to India, which are not there. Your comments.
I would say that as much as I work with international law firms now in the last 5 to 7 years, so far as the competence part is concerned, I think we are almost there. Almost there. And the systems and regulations and a particular format. What we are not there is the work ethics and the feudalism and the hierarchy and the dynasty. Those are the fears which we are living with, actually. If we have to see the students, the kind of rejoice, you talk to the vice chancellors of the law schools today, you talk to the parents who have spent lakhs of rupees for the legal education, they are looking at it with a huge opportunity.
Point well taken. I'll take this point to Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju for his opinion on all these issues.
See, as I see, it's a very great opportunity for youngsters who are entering the profession or just around entered the profession and then exploring. What happens now is that they have an opportunity to have an Indian license and still be part of a foreign law firm, but they will have a restraint on practicing Indian laws. Virtually, you're creating an SEZ kind of a scenario where you can't actually provide services to the domestic consumers. So it's going to be a hub or a bubble which is being created. So that gives a great opportunity to a lot of youngsters who really do not have to travel abroad to getting these internship experiences or law clerkships with law firms or the international lawyers, which is a great opportunity for them. And going forward, as I see, these youngsters who are trained in these foreign laws while being in India would be a great asset to the buzzing Indian economy, where unicorns are actually growing in scores. So these unicorns, once they start moving abroad, they would need trusted legal service providers who understand their cultural values that Indians have, and then also understand the foreign jurisdiction and the laws, how they work. So it's a great opportunity, as I see, for the unicorns in India who are looking to expand and go abroad with a lot of strength coming from their own compatriots who are training with this law firms coming in and learning their trade with them directly while playing their role in whatever little way to begin with. I think it's a kind of an opening up of a legal IPL where there's going to be a blend from both ends. We will have a few foreign lawyers working with us, and then we'll have Indian lawyers working with the foreign lawyers. And there's a great learning exposure that both would have.
Okay. I'll take this point to Ajit Mishra. Now, you've been in London for the past 15 years. You were born and brought up here, but practically your whole working life has been spent there. Could you give us perspective from London on all these issues, opportunity for Indian students who are law graduates, because many of them these days come to UK and work, what this decision means for them also?
Well, see, most of the first of all, I will say the Indian law firms, they are comparable to most of the international law firms. The quality of the product which is coming out from, quality of advice which comes out from these Indian law firms, that is as per international standard. Of course, there are few things where we should not be expecting because of the lack of exposure and training. So as far as quality of lawyers in India is concerned, there are two restrictions. One is sheer number of lawyers in India. That's huge, and we cannot do much about it. Second is quality of education. So there are so many law colleges, some of the top tier, but at the same time, quality of education which is slightly needs a bit of upgrade and update. Okay, so So because of that sheer number and quality of lawyers, I think there's a bit of learning how legal practice. Sorry, I got distracted with the call. So anyway, I think the overall quality of legal advice which is coming from India, that's good, and the quality of lawyers is excellent. When I was in India, I was with Sir Robert Francis, who's treasurer of Inner Temple, and one thing which he mentioned, and which was a bit of surprise for most of us who were there, was that he said that Indian judiciary, the way they have taken and embraced technology, in the UK has a lot to learn from that. UK is being a small country, technology is not that much there in the judicial process and legal process. What India has already done in spite of challenges. If you see Chief Justice of India, and there was his 100-day report, which said that 14,000 cases. Now we cannot imagine 14,000 cases in 100 days. A Chief Justice of India can do. So the workload and everything is at a different scale. So I will say most of the top economies, India is the 5th largest economy. If you see top 10, most of the economies are already open for foreign law firms. Profession is much more liberalized. India, it was long awaited. Now it's happening. It's good.
Long awaited and happening is good. I will go to Sudhir Mishra from Trust Legal. Arbitrations, of course, international lawyers are not allowed where there is a foreign party. Your views on that?
So arbitrations now will open up for them, and arbitrations in India. And I think one major reason why judiciary will push for this particular entry of the 10th and March of BCI notification is the fillip it will give to the international arbitration in India, which has always been a non-starter. The kind of effort which the Supreme Court has done in the last 5 to 7 years to showcase India as a very stable legal regime or legal jurisdiction. I believe with this kind of approach, when you are actually allowing all these international law firms to come, who typically used to go to Qatar or Dubai or Singapore or Hong Kong or even to London, India will be able to compete with the Hyderabad Center coming up so well, Bombay coming up so well. And we saw the Indian Arbitration Week, which happened, how many new matters are being filed. So I think that will be a huge area of development. One important thing, Tarun, which I am finding in my discussion with 2-3 law firms I have spoken in the last 1 week, they are still on wait and watch. They are not still taking out the money for that $25,000 registration and $50,000 registration. One reason is they still think that somebody will go to court, and you know what all is happening when representations are being given by our association self to Bar Council of India, and rightly so, for clarifications. But important thing is here, and this is the most critical factor, the 10th March notification is by an authority which is our regulator, as per the Advocates Act. Till now, whosoever has talked about liberalization, it was either the government or through a judicial or through a wish list. But this is for the first time where regulator has come out with a notification. You will guide them, you will tell them to give clarification, you will ask them to allow you to advertise or give the parity or reciprocity or rights to open up in other jurisdictions. But for the first time, the regulator has itself come into the picture.
Point well taken. I'll go to Sridhar Kottaraju, advocate. You understand Bharat as well as India very well. You understand the fears and concerns of an advocate who's wishing to make out a living, as also smaller law firms also. How do you balance out the concerns with the needs to, of an India which has to grow to be a $8-9 trillion economy, where a lot of foreign investment will be needed? You have to balance both concerns. India always has this dilemma. There is when you're a $2,700 per capita economy with a population of 1.4 billion, things are not easy. Can you just put things in perspective?
As you rightly pointed out, we are a civilizational state, unlike the West. So we have the experience of dealing with change, and surviving. I think we are the oldest surviving living civilization where probably we have evolved and we've embraced technology, and we are ahead of the West as far as use of technology is concerned, be it digital economy or be it digitization of courts. These are the two things which we were actually lagging behind. But come at the show. I mean, we've actually lifted our game. And then as far as digital economy, we've left the world behind. As far as technology is concerned, our COVID certificates are actually leaving people way behind. So we are very technology friendly country, and people may be not literate, but their ability to adapt is way higher because of their resilience, which is probably a cultural thing that we all have to actually adapt to change and accept change. Acceptance is a very cultural value that we all inherit. The change, jo bhi hota hai, achhe ke liye hota hai. So that's the spirit and with the positive sense. Now, going back to the business or the economy part of the growing economy, see, India is the only economy which appears to be driving the world fiscal system, where the banks are collapsing like nine carts across the globe in the West. The West is embroiled in a war where there's no sight to the war coming to an end. There are multipolar world, and India is quietly building its case to become a very powerful economy, which is responsible, which believes in sharing whatever it has, even in adversities. So legal services are something which India has as a great strength. And then providing a platform for international commercial arbitrations. We're going to give, the experience of India as we believe in Atithi Devo Bhava. So we invite people to come here and experience the quality of professionals available here to render service, right from probably paralegal services onwards to high quality international arbitrators that are available in the Indian spectrum. So I think this is a very necessary fillip which is coming to achieve the dream of becoming a big 5 trillion or a 10 trillion economy in our lifetimes.
Point well taken. I'll go to Ajit Mishra here. Mr. Mishra, two things. When you see from London other markets like China, Vietnam, South Africa, Australia, and other markets, and then you see in India, finally in 2023, things have opening up. Do you think India has been a bit late to this opening up, and now things have to be speeded up? Because in a globalized world where India wants to embrace global capital for its growth, and a lot of global capital is now coming to India. Global capital we'll see from Japan, which is investing a lot in India. Increasingly, US investments are flowing into India. What do you think should happen in your view?
Also, my dad always says, there's always the right time. Okay, so probably this is the right time for India. Have we delayed the process? I think so. When you say Singapore and other economies around that, they became, especially when it comes to legal hub, they became what they are because of opening up. But I think because India is large and complicated, it's like maneuvering a large truck. Okay, so it takes time. It takes time, but it should be done perfectly. Baby steps. Which my mom says. Okay, so I think this is a baby step in right direction. Okay. We will learn from our mistakes and we'll perfect it. Like we have this bankruptcy code, which was inspired by UK legislation. But I think so many cases are there in India. I think we will have one of the best possible bankruptcy laws in India. So similarly, learning from our own experience, our own mistakes, I think it will be done. But I think this is a baby step in right direction. Inflow of international work which is coming into Indian market, and I will say outbound transactions which are happening from India to international market. I think this is the right time. Even if there is a delay, it's all right. At least it's a good beginning.
It's a good beginning, but much more to happen in future. I think this is what you can say is only a trailer to a whole movie that is to come. Of course, there'll be an interval in between where things can get halted for a bit. But I think the India juggernaut will not stop now. I'll take one final comment. We are almost out of time. One final comment for Sudhir Mishra before we close.
I would say that I'm a born optimist, and I feel that for everybody who's, especially for the first generation lawyers in India, and even if you are running a law firm or you are an individual practitioner, this is a historical moment, and you have global consulting companies here, audit companies here. Everybody is here making loads of money and creating so much of opportunities. 70,000, 75,000 people working in all these big audit companies. I think even in the law firms, we'll see 10,000 people working in a single law firm soon.
Look forward to what happens in future. Appreciate your joining us. Thank you so much, Sudhir Mishra from Trust Legal, Advocate Sridhar Pottaraju, and Ajit Mishra from Maddox. Appreciate your joining us. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Tarun.
Thank you so much, Tarun.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.